Welcome to the Smart Business Show for September 12th, 2018. Today we're going to be talking about whether social media is worth my time. This is kind of based off three things I wrote about last night, so I'm recording this on the 6th, about a week early, and three things I wrote about and linked to on the 5th, and read. And they're all linked in the show notes, these three articles, and one is by my friend Tom called Is Social Media Good? The next one is, I forget the name of the author, but it's called Social Media for Book Authors. I think he wrote the book, Your First 1,000 Copies. And then, I don't know the author of this either, Darwin was a slacker and you should be too. And so here's what I'm thinking. I talked a couple weeks ago about, do I schedule time for social media? Nope, I schedule time to be off of it. And then my friend Tom, who's one of the links there, he actually schedules, just coming off, I think all of August he was off social media entirely, except for Instagram, which he enjoys. And I enjoy it as well, but it's also like the bane of my existence in many ways because I waste so much time on the Discover feed. I was thinking about scheduling even more time off, and what is the utility of it? And what do I get out of it, I suppose? Now, my book coach, this is, again, social media for book authors, where this came in. My book coach insists that I have to have social media if I want to have a good selling book because social media is social media. But in this social media, one of these social media links in the show notes, they talked about Gary Vaynerchuk and how much he sold and all of his followers, and basically it turned into 1.82% conversion rate. And how much time do you spend building all these different profiles for that 1.82% conversion rate? And they also talked about your social media following really being a product of your popularity in other realms. Like if you look at the top 100 people on whatever it's Twitter, Facebook, something, then isn't that it more often reflects the popularity of them in other realms, right? Movie stars, stuff like that. So as you grow as an author, as you grow as whatever podcaster, developer, it's the popularity in other areas that's really reflected in your social media following, if you care. I don't actually look at the numbers really. Or very rarely anyways. And one thing I love actually about Mastodon is I don't even know how to check it right now, which is where I am mostly right now, is Curtis McHale on mastodon.social, I guess. And so thinking about that, thinking about so my book, The Art of Focus, which came out and is on sale for 99 cents for just a little bit longer. Not for much longer, but just a little bit longer. Now, I will have changed the price as of this one, as of the day you're listening to this. And so whenever Amazon updates it from the 99 cents to $2.99, that's the price now. So make sure you grab it. But thinking about it, in that I'm talking so much, and so much of what I want to do is write more, read more, research more. I was talking with one of my coaching students. We were talking about just future book ideas, and I had 10 or 12 of them. And she said, "Oh, they're all not perfectly and exactly what I write, but they all I would expect you to write about any of these topics." And they all are going to take a lot of research. They're going to take a lot of writing. They're going to this is a multi-year project to even get to half of these probably. I've got 40 ideas, but so the 5 or 6 that I read to her, and she thought they were all great. But to do that, does social media really help in that? How does it help in that? How does it help me sell more books, really? Is it other things? So at the time, they talked about that in the social media for authors. Gary Vaynerchuk also was on whatever, a bunch of US stations, MSNBC, stuff like that, I guess. I don't know. I'm in Canada, and I don't have to have television in 10 years, so I don't even know. But a bunch of other stations did interviews and a whole bunch of other spots, were the sales really come from a social media following, or were they coming from all these other interviews? I know when I did an evaluation of my content strategy and where I really saw benefit, this is a number of months ago, the biggest place that I saw benefit in putting content out was podcasts, by far. There's nothing else that's even close. There was one blog that was, the tip top of the blogs, but that's it. The blogs were so far down below podcasts, which is funny because I find it so hard to pitch podcasts. But getting on podcasts was by far, or teaching a webinar for someone, that was by far the best way to introduce myself to more people and then, have some sort of sale out of it or have someone join my email list out of it. It was by far, nothing was even close. Right, and I don't know if it bumped social media following at all, but but by far that's what it was. The only other thing that was, again, there was that one blog, Addicted to Success, and every time I write for them, it's been quite a while, I would get someone would email me or something. Someone also presented another opportunity to me, so that was good. And then republishing content to Medium, because I'm already doing content. It's on my site. I don't publish anything to Medium that is not on my site already. So republishing content to Medium also saw some traction in getting people on the email list. But that's it. Those are the only places that really worked. It's all the other guest posting I've done, basically nothing. Nothing has really shown fruit. So, but Yeah, and this is about social media. Is it worth my time? I'm questioning it, really. I'm questioning whether I need to be kicking it off more, whether I need to tell my book coach that no, I'm not going to be on social media. So don't ask me to be. I'm just not going to be. And I will use it for pleasure, right? That's one of the things I talked about in the author in the link about social media for authors is if you're just using it for pleasure, use it for pleasure. Mastodon is, again, a much smaller social network, social following that I'm in, which means sometimes I go and there's no updates, which is spectacular. And I get to talk to pretty much everyone I follow. We had good conversations. We had good conversations about local development environments because I have been famously developing on my iPad, which I'm working on right now, and developing off-site on a DigitalOcean Droplet for clients. For one project, I have to go local again for reasons. And so I was looking around and I installed a bunch of other nerdy things and nothing worked. Basically nothing worked. And I was like, this is why I stopped, because it was always a pain in the butt. And some other people, people suggested, actually one suggestion came by far the most, which was, what's it called? Local by Flywheel. If you're a WordPress person still, that's what it is. Local by Flywheel seems to be the strong verdict by everyone that I know now. And so it was good for that. It was good for getting some feedback. It's been good for finding new people to follow, new people to interact with, new people's blogs to follow. But really, I'm not convinced, as is Tom. Tom is not convinced that it's really that spectacular, that it's really, I guess, career furthering. And that even when I think back to when I was starting my development career, I got to know people like Pippin Williamson, who runs EDD, Easy Digital Downloads, and Affiliate WP, and Restrict Content Pro. And where we really connected initially was because we both blogged. We both were writing around similar topics, and I would link to him. I even remember we were writing about unit testing, and he's like, oh, I'm so glad you're writing about this at the same time. But we connected first over the content that we wrote, and then we started following each other on social media, interacting in other avenues. So I still think that the more I think about it, the more I think that that is it. You notice if you follow the RSS feed that I link to a lot of stuff that I don't share other ways. It doesn't go out in my email newsletters necessarily unless there's really good stuff. But I mostly, I'll share my long blog posts and that's it. I don't share all the links that I've done. But there's lots of utility in those links, like in this further thinking, in this kind of ongoing dialogue that as I think continually around focus, around what is worth my time. Yeah, what creates enough value to be worth my time. And what doesn't, and where I'm wasting time. Yeah, so is social media worth it? I don't know. I would say that don't worry about building some big brand on social media. It is very unlikely you're going to be a social media influencer. Most of these social media influencers I have seen are either famous already, or they're girls posting sexy pics, or some ripped guy, and that's about it. I'm not none of those things. I'm not a girl. I'm not ripped. So I'm never going to be one unless, some other thing makes me famous and then I become a social media influencer. And then people want to give me free stuff, likely when I don't even need it anymore because I could afford whatever I wanted, which is another discussion. Yeah, so I'm not convinced it is. If you contradict, if you think something different, I'd love to hear about it. If you have other thoughts around whether social media is worth it, please let me know in the show notes on my site, or if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know. It would be super helpful to me, as always, if you go to iTunes and leave a review. If you are in Overcast, leave a star or a heart, whatever. Share the podcast with other people. And just get the conversation going. Help. And one of the things I talked about in the author one is your biggest problem is not your following. Your biggest problem is obscurity. And so help me not be so obscure. Please share the content if you like it. And I'd love some feedback. Leave me a comment wherever you're at. And let me know, do you think social media is really worth it? Is it actually paying off business-wise in your business? Is it not? How do you know? How are you measuring it? How are you going to find out? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome day.